Welcome, everyone. My name is Virginia Parsons. I'm your Hangout mentor and the host of the Inspirational Businesswoman Show. And I am so pleased that you're here today. You know, it is my desire and my passion to help provide you with a goldmine of entrepreneurial tips, strategies, and advice to grow your business from inspirational businesswomen and men in the know. And so I'm happy that you're here. I know your time is valuable, and it really is an honor to be able to provide really fantastic information from these great people that I'm interviewing. So thank you for joining us, and please take a moment to let me know where you're hanging out from. How's the weather doing in your part of the country? It's been kind of crazy lately, hasn't it been? And also because I really desire to create a whole collaborative of inspired women and men entrepreneurs who can help support, uplift one another in their businesses. So if you feel like it, also share what your business is about, because as we connect with each other, there's so much more we can help with and support and gain from collaboration. So please go ahead and start typing in the comments section below. I'm thrilled to have you here and taking the time today. Now, today's show is sponsored by hangout-marketing.com, where you can receive a free Hangout marketing assessment. And this assessment will measure your skill set and your knowledge base in using Hangouts and Air to help brand, market, and shine your business for the world to discover. Now that takes only a couple minutes, that assessment. And all you have to do to take advantage of it is text the word success, SUCCESS, to 307-269-2040. And once you complete that, you'll get some valuable information back on how to go ahead and start taking advantage of using Hangouts and Air in your own business, and you might even qualify for a free strategy session with me. So go ahead and take advantage of that, won't you? Now let's talk about today's wonderful couple. I have with me today two inspired and very wise people. Their names are Chief Robert and Terri TallTree. Now, they are the founders of How to Live on Purpose. Not only that, they're pathfinders between two worlds. They're guides to purposeful, passionate, and conscious intentional living. And the TallTrees really do bring a fresh voice and a clear vision to who you are and what you can choose to become. Transcending poverty and near death, they are living proof that miracles happen and dreams come true. So we're going to ask them about that in just a moment. Robert TallTree is a direct lineal descendant of Black Elk of the Swan Creek Black River Band of Chippewa Indians of Michigan. And I'm absolutely thrilled to have them here today to talk to us about the miracle mind shift and how you can live your life on purpose. Now, some of the hot topics we're going to be discussing are clarify your life purpose with ease. I can't wait to hear about this one. And then cultivate the courage to live life on your own terms. And don't we all need that a little more often in our lives? A little courage. And finally, why consistency is key. A fast and simple way to achieve it. So I'm absolutely thrilled to have Robert and Terri TallTree with us today. Come on in and say hi to our audience.
Bojun in denwe maganak, kanosem tigendisnakaz, omash kustnendam, menu kishikad.
I will translate for you, Virginia, and for your audience. My husband just spoke to you very, very respectfully in our language, the Ojibwa language, and what he said was hello to all my relatives. Hello, my friends. My name is Tree reaching and growing toward the sky. I am Elk Clan, and today is a good day. We're honored to be here with you today and so looking forward to this time.
Absolutely. Well, you know that
I'm thrilled to have you both as well. Go ahead, Robert.
Well, you know that this is the time where there's an awakening happening. People that are forging, moving forward with their hearts, showing other individuals that they can live that way too, that they are not alone. I love your program because it has a tendency of bringing forward the women and how powerful that they have always been in the background, really taking and kind of mirroring the men out front. But really, a lot of things that have been accomplished in today's world, even today, even in the past, is because of the influence of women. And so I'm here primarily, usually I'm the key kind of when people have a tendency to speaking, but today I have the honor of being supportive to Terri. And of course, the unique aspects of our paths crossing each other was relative to her having also initially training from Native American people. They saw her, looked into her eyes, and it said to her, "It's time for you to come back." They saw, those elders saw within her eyes something that was unique, something that they knew that belonged back in the nation. So they started to train her in the sacredness of the pipe, which is used for prayers and healings, to the songs that were used by that nation. And so she sang those songs and was invited to many, many sacred ceremonies before she even crossed my path. And of course, when our paths crossed, I saw a beautiful woman, and I started to impress her by speaking my language to her. And what really kind of threw me off is when she spoke my language back to me, and then I didn't know what to say. So, but again, that was the way it was. That was the bonding experience right there, that I could take and have someone within my life that truly understand the grassroots of where people's hearts are, to understand and have the compassion for them, to give them and guide them, co-guide them with me, to help individuals find their way, find their purpose. And we know, as her elders and my elders have spoken very genuinely about that, is relevant to the aspects of finding your birthright and your voice, and then taking and combining that birthright and start to stand in your light. And then your joy all of a sudden is discovered in the same instance. So there is the cohesiveness of those particular events, which is really important for individuals to take and seek and find and discover through other individuals. And this is actually, as I started taking and learning these things, and some of these things I would go to other individuals, and I was looking for the common denominators. So not only did I have an opportunity to be influenced by Native teachers and younger in my youth days, as Terri did, but also later on we sought other teachers and found so many commonalities within the cultures and within people, which can be utilized for them to be able to take and have a good life.
Well, as a result, you really are bridging a time gap almost between just the ancient wisdom and the teachings of your elders and how it relates to the modern world, because there's still such a need for that connection, that wisdom, that transferring forward of the inspired teachings of your elders. And what a wonderful thing, Terri, for you to surprise Robert this way, and he speaks to you and you speak back in his native tongue. That says so much about you as an individual as well. Can you give us a little background about how you got, I think I heard a little bit about how you got together, but about how this ended up forming such a powerful partnership. And I also like to share challenges and struggles that all entrepreneurs have. And even though your teachings are of ancient wisdom, you are also modern day entrepreneurs. You overcame some real struggles of your own. So would you go ahead and share that with our audience? I know they'd find this fascinating.
Sure. One of the first things that I always like to acknowledge is those who've gone before us, that have given us the strength and the courage and the wisdom to be where we're at today. It wasn't always like this. I mean, in my life, earlier in my life, there were times when I really didn't have a clear sense of who I was and why I was here, and I was living my life at the expense of my own health. I was trying so hard to please other people and be what I thought they wanted me to be, or what they thought I should be or could be, their vision for my life. And I ended up actually in the hospital, completely paralyzed. I couldn't move at all, and they didn't know if I would live. I was in intensive care. And after I got through the roughest patch of it, and we realized I was going to live, I was going to survive, they weren't sure if I'd ever walk again. And that was a huge turning point in my life, Virginia. It was just such a big, aha moment. Here I am. I was a young woman at the time, and thought before that I had my whole life ahead of me to pursue my dreams and kind of figure it out, you know, and I kept delaying and putting on hold the things that were really in my heart, and it started to shut my whole system down. So at that point in time, I had a huge awareness that if I continued to do that, that my life, I would never realize my dreams. I would never realize, you know, who I was and have my voice out in the world. And so that was a big awakening. It was either show up or basically the show's over. You know, I mean,
oh my gosh, yeah,
it was a big deal.
This is, I think just a pause here is important, because I think this is something that does speak to women in particular more than men, and that is that we are by nature nurturers. And you had taken it to the point of wanting to please others to the point that you weren't being true to yourself, or you were sacrificing yourself for the sake of pleasing others. And I think there's a real important balance to be found between our nurturing natural tendencies and what actually literally tends to suck the life out of us. What do you think?
I agree, and it's interesting because of at the time, I literally remember this day like it happened yesterday. It is so crystal clear in my mind. It's never far away from me. I was transferred out of intensive care into a regular hospital room, and they transferred me. You know, they lifted me up and situated me in the bed because I couldn't do anything on my own. And they made sure I was comfortable, and they left, and I was all alone in the room. And out of what seemed like nowhere, I heard a voice. And I looked around. I looked at the door. No one had passed by the door. It seemed incredibly quiet otherwise, which is unusual in a hospital because there's usually lots of noise. But it seemed very still and quiet, and I heard this voice. I looked over to the window. There was no one outside the window. And at the risk of looking foolish, I said out loud, "What?" And I heard it again, and it was it's hard to describe. It was a gentle voice, but it was strong. And it just literally pierced my heart. I felt like someone took an arrow and just released it, and it went right into my heart, and I started to sob. It was like all this protection, all this masking of myself started to just melt away, and the voice said to me, "Did you do what you came here to do?" Talk about, you know, having just come out of intensive care and knowing that I was just this side of crossing over. Did you do what you came here to do? And that's a question I want everybody to ask themselves right now. Did you do what you came here to do? Are you going through the motions for some kind of external result? Or are you living life in a way that is truly satisfying your soul, why you're here? Because, you know, it's not anyone else's choice what you do with your life. And so I sobbed and sobbed. And finally, when I stopped where I could catch my breath, you know, Oprah calls it the ugly cry. Finally, I caught my breath and I said out loud, "No, I came here to sing." And it was like, oh my gosh. I knew from the time I was a little girl that was the most precious thing. It was so precious to me that I never told anybody about it, and I hid it. I would only sing behind closed doors. You know, it felt too big for me to take ownership of. I felt like I was too little, like I didn't have permission for it. And I didn't feel worthy of it. It's like our dreams sometimes, we just think it would be nice, but it's just a dream. I didn't realize, no, that's my purpose. Right? So at that moment, I made a promise, and I promised that no matter how frightened I was, no matter how terrifying it was, that at the end of the day, I'm going to have to bare my soul to my maker, my creator, and say either I was willing to do what you put me here on this earth to do, or I wasn't. And why I wasn't doesn't really matter. I either was or I wasn't. And so I made the promise that I was going to sing. And I didn't know what that would look like at the time. I didn't have any idea. Nothing in my mind said fame, fortune, recognition, nothing like that. It was just simply the calling of my heart. And from that moment on, my life, travel around the world and perform on stages in front of, hundreds of thousands of people. I didn't know that. All I knew was that if I didn't do it, I would die.
And that is such an inspired story on its own. I mean, just to pause for all of us and take that in from Terri as a thank you for that gift of sharing, Terri, is that one big question. Are you doing what you came here to do, or have you done what you came here to do? And you finally had an experience that made you pause and really ask that important question. So I'm making an assumption now and a leap here that this has everything to do with how you arrived at what you're doing now with Robert about living your life on purpose. Tell us a little bit about the meaning of living your life on purpose.
Our elders say that every living being has purpose. Every leaf on a tree, every grain of sand on the beach, every raindrop, every animal, every living being has purpose, and you too have a purpose. And it's not by accident that you're here, that you were put here at the time in the place that you arrived for a reason, your greatest good, for your greatest good. So even in our challenges, if we are able to really get in the right relationship with our circumstances, we can use those circumstances to elevate ourselves to really fulfilling that purpose. And I believe that. I when the elders spoke to me, as a young woman, I was raised in dominant culture, Ginny, and I didn't really know about my native lineage. I had a sense of it, but my father was never given access to that in his life. And so I had a sense of it. I had an instinctive knowledge, what our elders call blood memory, but I didn't have any of that in my environment and surroundings. But as a young woman, I had a native elder come to me and say, we've been told to come and bring you back to the circle. And that part of my journey began, and that was after I had gone through this huge transformation with what I call a miraculous healing transformation, because I set medical history. I walked out of the hospital and never had any side effects, and I realized that this was my time to really step fully into my spiritual presence, who I am. And one thing I'd really like to share with the audience is that any of the people who I've encountered who I would consider very successful, and when I speak of success, I think it's very important that you don't settle for just being successful in business, but go for being successful in life. Have a heart full. Have your heart full as well as your bank account full. Have your relationships be rich in love and nurturing and joy, right? Have plenty of play in your life. Be truly successful. And the people who I've met who are living that life, every one of them will say to you what I'm going to say, and that is, get your spiritual life right. Get yourself connected spiritually, because once you do that, everything else falls into place. I mean, I met and married the man of my dreams. So much, that's so shallow compared to what it is who Robert and I are to one another. He's such I feel so honored to walk at his side, and we walk as equals. In our Indian Sign Language, this is the symbol for that: two fingers walking side by side in harmony and honoring and helping to lift each other up and steady each other on the journey. So that piece, if you take nothing else away from this today, please life in balance so that everything else can come into harmony in your life, and you'll find that things are much easier.
Well, absolutely. It's wonderful to be abundant financially, but it means very little, doesn't it, if you are not connected in some way spiritually. At least I believe that. If you do not have good and loving relationships, and if you don't, love and honor yourself. So all of these things are so very important to living what you would call, I think, a full, rich, and abundant life. And thank you for really pointing that out to us. As we go forward in this discussion, there's something that I think we all need to really go deeper on, and this is this idea of courage. So often we think that we have, and I guess I'm going to say it for myself personally so that I don't just send it out in the we form. I personally think that I have so much to give and contribute, but there's that other voice in the background that says, who do you think you are to do that? That, I think, must have to do with the courage element. So help me and help everyone else really address that courage issue, would you?
Who do you think you are not?
Yeah, I like that response.
So great. When I was in the hospital bed, this is huge. So the first step, I promise to give the listeners 3 very clear steps, and you can write these down because they will help you no matter where you are in the process of your life. First of all, the clarity to find out who you are and why you're here precedes having courage, because if you don't have that, you will back down from obstacles because you won't have the momentum to get up over that challenge that's facing you down, right? Because we are tested, and many cultures have this. From India, they speak of the goddess Kali, who intimidates the do-a-diddy out of you as you try to step into the garden, right? Because you have to know who you are and be able to hold your ground in the face of opposition. And so, first of all, know that within you, the bent of your nature is the key. What is it that you love to do? What makes time stand still for you? There's something in each and every person that comes almost effortlessly and naturally that they tend to devalue because it's so much a part of who they are. So first of all, find out who you are and what makes your heart sing. To have courage, once you know that and you realize that's why you're here, it becomes easier. And this is what happened to me. I was laying on the bed, so after I get this, no, I came here to sing, big revelation, this huge epiphany, of course the voice comes up, well, who do you think you are? Who would want to hear your voice? And immediately the next thing I heard and felt was, who are you to judge the gifts I've given you? Your job is not to question whether or not those gifts are worthy. Your job is simply to show up and share them. What other people choose to do with them is their choice. So if somebody, in my example, somebody doesn't like my voice, if I don't like my voice, if someone else doesn't like my voice, that's not mine to question. It's not to be the judge. It's to be, I like to call it like an earth angel. Put your feet on the ground and do the work. Just show up and just share. Just put it out there, because what are you holding in? Who's going to benefit from you holding on to it? Just do it. Just get it out there, and let people decide for themselves if it resonates with them. And when something resonates with you, what do? You step closer because it feels right. And all of us are born. This is one thing the elders teach us. We have instinct. We have an inner knowing. We have an inner guidance system that draws us towards things and pushes us away from things. Learn to trust yourself and do that. So for me, of course, I can always think of people who have better voices, who are more trained, who have blah, 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 fill in the blank. You could go on forever because that's the voice of the ego, right? Fear, worry, doubt. It'll just run a litany as long as you let it. So you just can let that be what it is and choose where you're going to stand in your life. Where are you going to stand? Are you going to stand in your power? Are you going to stand in your humility? And that for me was being humble enough not to judge myself.
And I think bottom line, stop hiding out. And who are you to not use the gifts you've been blessed with is a very important statement I think you make. Because so often we're questioning. Go ahead, Robert.
No, it's all choice, Virginia. You know, you can either live a very shallow life, or you can really jump into the oceans that are there to explore and express yourself. And yes, you are exposed to so many more people, but from our particular experience, we've discovered that many times it's because you were showing them that they actually have that choice too, and that kind of endangers their own ego, their own intelligence. They're thinking, well, you know, and so by you keeping it small, they can then feel more comfortable. But I'm not here to make you feel comfortable. I'm here to express myself, to show you that you can express yourself, as you have, as your husband has, as Terri has, as everyone here that's in your audience. This is an opportunity for you to take the next step. And we are saying this because we have tried it ourselves. This is why we are where we're at, is because we took those particular risks, and now we are actually gathering a lot of the fruit. I mean, you plant a lot of seeds in your life, but if you plant the right seeds in the right seasons, you're going to get a great harvest plants. And that's the same as everything in your life. It's the same as your relationship with yourself and your partner. It's also with what you do. That's all relationships. Find and plant the seeds that are in alignment with your higher vibration of being. And that's what people forget. They think that someone else knows better or knows more. They don't. You know what's best for you. And go on that spiritual intuition, that intelligence, to help guide you. Let that be the guide that guides you through the storms of life.
Wonderful. So how does this relate to, from a Native American wisdom standpoint, the 3 arrows of power? Because as you become more courageous, I'm assuming that your level of confidence and self-empowerment obviously increase. How does the relationship come together?
You know, the elders tell us that we're all born with 3 arrows of power, and that we may not always have control over our circumstances, but we absolutely have control over our 3 arrows. And the first arrow of power are the thoughts you think. The thoughts you think. They say that's the first arrow of power. And thoughts are very powerful. They're creative. So every thought we think creates something. So we want to be very mindful of what we're thinking. A lot of people are not paying attention to that. So when we speak of being conscious and living intentionally, it begins with that. Be mindful of the thoughts that you're thinking and whether they empower you or disempower you. The second arrow of power are the words you speak. The words you speak. And words also have great power. They have the power to create or destroy. And often people are not aware of how easy it is to find out what their hidden belief systems are, their unconscious beliefs and attitudes that keep them living small, right? Smaller than their true potential. But language is, this is so great. The Great Mystery gave us everything we need. If we listen to our language, not in judgment, but in conscious awareness, in respect, to hear what's being spoken, we'll recognize that we often say things that mirror an unconscious belief of not deserving or, just limitation. And so the words that we speak, that's a very, very powerful way to get yourself in alignment with your greatest good. And finally, your third arrow of power, and obviously we're going through these very quickly today, your third arrow of power are the actions that you take. The actions that you take. You know, we may be spiritual beings, but we're living in a physical world. We have a physical body. People have promises that they make. They have rent and mortgage payments. They have, exchanges that we do in the world. And this has to be practical. And one of the things I love about the teachings of our elders is they're very, very practical. They're actionable, and they work. And so even though the wisdom is ancient, it's just as important today, maybe even more so than it ever has been, because these are real life strategies that keep you grounded, they keep you centered in your heart, so you can live a heart-centered, authentic life, standing in your power and constantly growing and expanding into your greatest good. When you do that, you not only live a life that is your birthright and that you were destined to, but you impact the lives of everyone you come in contact with. And just your presence in that illuminates and uplifts people. You don't have to go out and change anybody. It happens just spontaneously from being around someone who's no longer living in fear. They're no longer shackled by the sense that this is their lot in life and they can't get beyond the barriers that present themselves. So the biggest thing that I see challenging people, so many of the people we work with they're incredible people. They're they're brilliant, they're talented, they have great hearts, they're very generous in terms of giving of themselves, but often they don't have consistency in their practice around these three arrows. And so that, for me, is the way that Robert and I really like to help people, is to help you set yourself up to access all the support that's available to you. And when I say support, this kind of comes from the ancient teachings, that all those forces, both seen and unseen, that exist and reside in this physical universe, they're here to support you in expressing and sharing your purpose. When you align yourself with that, magic happens, miracles happen. It was not an accident that I walked out of the hospital, not in a wheelchair. I wasn't using a walker. I had crutches with me, but I carried them out. And you know, that is because I was given the support of all the forces around me. And this is such a huge blessing, and that the elders gave us permission to share this is it's humbling, really, because anyone can do this. Anyone has access to it. So that's it. Finding a way to build consistency in your life. It takes a couple minutes a day. It's not overwhelming. It will, in fact, keep you out of overwhelm. It'll keep you from getting burned out. You'll find greater joy. And to share the wisdom of our grandson, when he was 4 years old, he came into the kitchen and he calls Robert Bunka. He said, "Bunka." And Robert always is so respectful of little ones. He knelt down and looked him in the eye and he said, "What, little one?" And Tristan looked into his eyes and he said, "I woke up." And Robert said, "You woke up?" And he said, "Yeah, I woke up to play." And that's what we're here for. We're here to play. We're not here to struggle to eke out a living. We're not here to make a living. We're here to make a life. Live a life that's meaningful. And in the process of that, everyone around you is going to be increased. Everyone will be elevated. Everyone will be empowered because you're empowered.
Well, these are wonderful, wonderful thoughts, because I love the three arrows of power, because they're so simple and elegant and at the same time so powerful, because if you're going to pay attention to your thoughts, you could understand, is the thought that I'm thinking empowering me, uplifting others, or is the thought bringing me down or bringing someone else down? If you just pay attention, and then the words, obviously, watching what you utter and making sure that what comes from your voice, your vocal, is again something that is uplifting and inspiring, as opposed to putting something down, having a negative expression in words. And then actions, for sure, to me, that's one of the most powerful. But the words and the thoughts certainly precede actions, don't they? So with this idea of consistency, because I want to nail this one down, so to speak. What is it that we can do to be consistently aware and live by these philosophies on a day-to-day basis that doesn't take a lot of time, that is fast and easy?
Well, one of the things that Robert and I did was we went, life leaves clues. And having come from, and you haven't heard Robert's, he's got a very powerful story. having come from poverty, extreme poverty, and having come through near-death experiences, both of us, we went back and looked at what were the things that were in place that allowed us to transcend these experiences and not to have them just be experiences, but what were the things that happened that allowed us to not only get through it, but thrive as a result of it. And I certainly don't want people to have to go through, you know, critical life experiences to have that. So we mapped out for ourselves what these things were that we were doing. And we put together a program that really guides people through the experience, kind of that they can, in a couple minutes a day, literally less than 20 minutes a day, at any point. Some people do it early in the morning. It sets the tone for the day. Sleep. To do a daily practice mind shift. And I totally know, I don't think we know that miracles, they are happening. They're happening every day. And when we are able to truly expect miracles and watch for them and align ourselves, everything about what we're thinking, we're saying, and doing, so that, like a master archer, we know the target before we ever even reach for the arrow in the scabbard, right? We already know. When we are working on mastery at that level, it's best to do it in short, consistent ways, as opposed to immerse yourself in it for several hours one day and then forget about it and then go back and try over and over again. It's the hardest way to learn anything. The easiest way is the simplest, a few minutes a day. So we developed something called the Miracle Mindshift program. It's a 31-day program. We give you a brief, a small couple-minute audio to help you get into the energy of this. And we give you a daily practice that helps you with being consciously aware of your thinking and directing your thoughts. And it's a process that you can do. I use it regularly myself. Many of the people in our mastery community use it regularly because it's so powerful and it's so much fun, which I like. I like things to be fun. And it's easy. It's really easy. What it takes is a commitment to yourself. And that's really a gift that you have to decide whether or not you're willing to give. Are you willing to invest a couple minutes a day to have the life that you truly deserve? That's really what it's about, and that's with anything. And I hope you feel that you are, because I know you are, and I know that the world is waiting for you. And that's one thing that I remember thinking about singing was like, well, I questioned, like, who would want to hear my voice? The elders gave me were many. There are many. There are millions and millions of people waiting for you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Waiting. Yeah.
I just feel that I could speak with you for so many more hours. You have so much wisdom and power to share, both of you. We can't today, obviously, but you do have a special on that program. Would you like to put that up for the audience if they want to take advantage of the Miracle Mindshift program? I'm going to actually highlight you so that they can see it. Terri, even though I'm talking, can switch that over. There you go. And so if you want to take advantage of the Miracle Mindshift program, you can go to hmtips.com/Miracle Mindshift. And so it's a 31-day program. I know I'm going to be taking part in it. I'm really looking forward to taking part in it because I think you're right. These little actions that we can take really add up if we do them on a consistent basis. And as you say, you're talking about a 31-day program, and it's an investment in yourself and an investment in making an absolute miracle shift in the way you think, in the way you speak, and the way you act. So I'm just really thrilled about it. So thank you for offering that to everyone. I do want to acknowledge the audience. We've had so much going on with all this fabulous information, but I do want to thank all of you for being here. We have Molly Youngblood, Geiger. Thanks, Molly, for being here. Hope you'll join us when the after show. We have Misty Lynn, who is joining us from the Arctic. Can you believe it? She's actually getting live internet feed in the Arctic, but she said it's a little tricky with the bandwidth. So, Misty, thank you for being here. We also have Marcus Deartily. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I appreciate your being here. and Wilbert, and there's a number more that you haven't put your names in there for me to follow in my comment stream, but thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. You know, of course, the replay is available to you. You can watch it on YouTube, you can watch it at the event page, or you can watch it on your iPhone. It also ends up going up into my iTunes podcast, so you can listen to it. So there's so many different ways that you can connect in this very, very powerful information that Terri and Robert has shared with us today. So Terri and Robert, both, I want to give you one last word that you can share with people, and as you do that, I'm going to, you may say more than a word, by the way, I'm going to post in the comments section how they can come and join us in the after show. So go ahead.
Well, you know, we were hitting the topics of clarity. Have the clarity. If you have a lot of clutter around you in your home, you don't have clarity, because that's an expression of what's coming out from inside of you. Start clearing those things out and keep things in a proper opening and space. And then if something comes in, something goes out. And start keeping the things that you love rather than the things that you like. That may be the way to create a dividing line to create clarity. So people want clarity, look at your environment. That's the first thing. Have the courage to take those particular steps, and know that this is going to be for you, and it's going to be something that's going to allow you to open up so many more doors that may have been there but you couldn't see before. And then have the consistency. Maybe the clearing of some of the things will allow you to be able to take and invest more in more programs that you can have a tendency of taking and get involved with. And then have that consistency of looking for and listening to your heart, listening to your soul, your spirit, because that will be the guide through the storms. That's what's so important about this moment. This is not an accident that you were here. This is a moment for you. And maybe you've been saying a prayer saying, you know, Creator God, please send me a message, or please help me find a way. Maybe this is it. Know that this is not a cookie cutter type of something that we've created, because I am there. If you take and have the courage to write something down, I will respond personally to what's on your thoughts, what's on your heart, what's on your mind. That's the beauty of it. And after the 31 days, if you decide to do it again, I will be there for you again, so that you can find your purpose and your way.
I just want to acknowledge the elders who said that if every human being really expressed their purpose in the world, that there would be no war, there would be no hunger, and that there would be a great harmony to help people come into alignment with the beauty that you are, with the value that you have. And we want you to know that truly you matter, that you're important, and that your voice is part of a beautiful symphony. We really want to support you in finding a very natural and authentic expression that supports you abundantly, that allows you to live a life that uplifts you and empowers you, that you feel good in, that you feel happy in, where time is not pushing against you, because that's what we see. So many people feel so squashed in time, but so that you can feel that state of flow that is the natural way to live life. So with that, I just want you to know that whatever it is that you're seeking, it's seeking you. You can write that down. All I seek is seeking me.
Thank you so much. I'm just absorbing it all. It's filled my heart with your beautiful words, your kind words, your inspired words. And again, you know, my passion truly has become in helping get the word out from all these wonderful people who have so much to give, so many people living their lives on purpose, and I want to encourage all of you to live your lives on purpose. And if you're not there yet, have the courage to go out and start stepping out and sharing your gifts with the world, because they were given to you for a purpose. So I want to thank you both so much for being here. We are going to stay on in the after show, so if you want to ask Terri and Robert any questions personally, please come join us. I've posted the link in the comment section. All you have to do is click on that link and come join us, and we'll continue this discussion for a few more minutes, and you'll be able to ask any questions directly to them. Thank you all for taking the time to be here today. I hope you take this information and go embrace it and pick it up and use it in your own life to live your purpose. and to live it masterfully. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Robert and Terri, for being here with me. And blessings to all of you. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and a wonderful life. Bye now.
Bye for now.